Now, I want to stop here because the legs, spine, hips, and torso, and shoulder are more about are sort of the category of joints and body mapping that are primarily about posture, which is sort of as opposed to technique, which is a sort of artificial separation as your whole body plays a role in technique. But I think there's some value in it, because back to what we said earlier, talking about from the center out, what you want to do, and what my body mapping method is about teaching yourself to feel through these muscles so that you can do two things. One, you can learn how to find a relaxed center, and two, you can use muscular exertion when you want it. So we're going to pause here and go back through these and just explain a little bit about how to teach yourself to feel. You can think of this way of thinking and this method of teaching how to feel as sort of like a prerequisite for the rest of the technique that you're going to see in the remaining videos. And I want to stop here and say this. I cannot stress this enough. If you do not take this learning to feel things seriously, you're going to have trouble understanding a lot of the things you're hearing that we're talking about. You're going to have a trouble understanding a lot of things you're seeing. And you're going to have more issues getting to where you want to be technically, because while there is value in having someone explain how to move, and some value in learning how to some value in viewing the way somebody else moves, there is, at the end of the day, you refine and perfect your own motions, in part by observing yourself and mainly feeling yourself. So the stuff I'm teaching about how to feel is critical. So if we look at the spine, what I would do for the spine is I'd go through the range of spine motions, and I'd start with very large ones. And you just want to sit once you've twisted and hold yourself. And what this does is it lets you feel, if I just did moves, you could certainly learn to feel tension through that. But when you take it to its furthest range of motion and then you hold it in place, that requires a lot of muscular exertion. And so you really feel it. And so what I would do is basically two versions of this exercise. I do one where I hold it and then I feel where all the tension is in my lower back and in my upper back and in my sides. And then I bring it back to relax and just feel what relax feel like. And then I take it through the other range of motion and I do the same thing. And then I go back. And then I'd start doing smaller ranges of motion and holding there. So I'm not holding all the way out like I was before. I'm going about halfway. And then I'd go smaller and I hold just a little bit. And then I do really small. And then you keep going into smaller increments. And the idea of this method is that not only do you teach yourself how to feel and where to feel, but you're also going to teach yourself how to perceive smaller and smaller amounts of tension, because there's a lot of tension to hold out here, whereas there's only a little bit of tension to make a small twist. And so you're going to learn to perceive smaller amounts of tension and bring yourself back to relaxed. And that'll teach you what tension feels like and what relaxation feels like. The other thing I do then is, once you've done that, then do movements, because it's really easy to feel this tension when you hold here for a while. It is relatively harder, especially when you're talking about smaller joints, smaller muscles, smaller ranges of motion when we're actually doing guitar technique. It's harder to feel even a continuous motion and the tension that comes from that than it is to feel the holding. So once you train yourself to feel this holding, then you train yourself to feel tension by doing small motions, or by doing the actual motions. And just like before, you start with big ones, and then you do small ones, and then you do really small ones, and you keep going from tense to relaxed, tensed to relaxed. And the idea is that, and this is where the joints come into the tension teaching. The joints give you sort of a frame of reference, because you know that your muscles are going to be tense because you're moving that joint. So you know where to look for because of the joint. And you know roughly where the muscles are going to be, because you know that the muscles that are causing the motion of the joint, and thus the tension that you're feeling should be near whatever's moving. And so, while I don't necessarily map out every muscle in the back for you in this video, because the spine and the hips are moving, you know that like in your upper legs and in your hips and in your back, when you move the spine in any direction, you should have some feeling around those areas. And so that'll kind of guide you. Whereas if you didn't know that, I might tell you, hey, feel for tension, and hey, move around. But until you make that connection, you don't necessarily know precisely where to feel, which is one of the problems that this book is trying to solve. And so I would do that using the document that I provide that maps out all the joints that you'll want to know for posture. And I would just do all these different exercises and do it for like a week. You could spend a good amount of time teaching yourself to learn how to feel and internalizing these emotions. It will not be a waste of your time, and it will inform a lot of things that you hear in the videos. It will inform a lot of your own practicing down the road. It's a big part of this. You need to learn how to feel and how to move. And the other thing too is that I'm going to stop the video here and continue in another video. But the other nice thing about this is that, remember, going back to from the center out, that concept, as you do these ranges of motion and eventually learn how to just be at relaxed, once you get to relax, then we can start working on the arms and the fingers coming from a relaxed posture and bringing the guitar to us rather than bringing ourselves to guitar. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this video. I'm going to make another video for the remaining content. Thank you again for your time.